going on, y'all? My name is Zach Jenkins, and I'm doing this video today because an amazing friend introduced me to an amazing program that I quickly have come to figure out is not just a program, but it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle change, readjustment, realignment, and it's something that I think anybody can benefit from. It's 100% free. It's called 75 Hard. We'll get back to that in a minute. I want to give you a quick recap of my life getting here so that maybe you might be able to understand that, one, you're not alone. Two, that just because you're going through hard times and hard stuff and struggling doesn't mean that you can't better yourself, but you have to make the decision for yourself. So here's my story. Growing up as a kid, came from a good home, loving family, taught properly, I would say, from all different angles. Mother, father, grandparents, uncles, aunts, hell, even friends and next door neighbors. It was a community back when we used to have the unity of each other. The American dream, or the pursuit of it at least. So I was a three-sport athlete, and being a three-sport athlete means you're picking the hard thing to do, because not only are you going to school, you're doing this, you're doing that. As a kid, it's the hard thing to do. Looking back now, that was the life, right? But especially when your father is one of your main coaches, you now pick the hard thing of having to live up to his expectations and driving harder and harder every day. That gets embedded into you. I want to be better. There is no participation trophy. Ricky Bobby, if you're not first, you're last. You have to have that mentality, because that's what gets you better. Winning teaches you nothing. Losing teaches you everything. Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Edison, all of our great inventors and great historical people have all come to one conclusion: that failing isn't falling, not getting back up is. They called Thomas Edison a failure when he failed to create the light bulb 201 times. His response: no, I learned how not to make it 201 times. So growing up, doing the normal kid thing, three-sport athlete, football, baseball, wrestling. Wrestling didn't come until I got into high school. I was told I couldn't do it because the wrestlers were too crazy and they didn't think I would cut it. That was enough fire for me. Wrestling up until that point in my life was the absolute hardest thing I'd ever done, not just physically, with all the running and the sweating and the working out and getting thrown around and beat up and tossed and all that, but mentally. Because mentally you had to subscribe to and study this art just like any other martial art. Not only study what you were going to do, but what you were going to do when somebody else did whatever they were going to do. Every day, every week, every month, every year, you get better if you put the devotion into it. November 11th, 2001, I'm a junior in high school. I come down the stairs. My little brother at the time was trying to watch cartoons while I was getting ready to go to school. And he was nearly in tears, clicking the clicker. I asked him what's wrong. He said it's on every channel. The first plane had hit the towers. Like most of the rest of you, just thought it was a horrible accident. I ate my breakfast and I ran off to school. Literally ran to school. My first period class was body conditioning for football. Just the weight room. I walk in to the room. Everybody is sitting Indian style on the ground, completely silent, which is completely out of character, especially for this group, first thing in the morning, staring at the TV. What I didn't know was in the process of me running from home to school, I had missed the second plane hit the tower. And right when I walked in, it was in the middle of the replay. We all went home that day and we prayed for the lives of everybody in that plane, the lives of everybody in the towers, and the lives of the first responders on the ground. The next day, November 12th, 2001, there wasn't a single thing open in my town, except for a 7-Eleven that was right next to a recruiting station. I drug my father out that morning to go to the recruiting station. We started at the Air Force, then went to the Navy, then the Army, and lastly the Marine Corps. Now, I've had plenty of friends and family that have served the United States Armed Forces. And in that group, I had many telling me, go to anything but the Marine Corps because I didn't think I could make it. That was enough for me. I chose the hard way. My recruiter said one of the greatest things I ever heard anybody say that could possibly come out of the mouth of a recruiter if you're trying to get somebody to step up, stand up, and keep moving. They said, you're an athlete, right? Because I had my Letterman jacket on at the time. I said, yes, sir. I said, let me ask you this one thing. Do you want to go JV or do you want to go varsity? Now understand, please, that this is not me disrespecting any of the other branches, because without all the rest of the branches, the Marines can't do what we're there to do. But the Marines are the tip of the spear. Always have been, always will be. It's the longest boot camp by far. It's the hardest training by far. And we're the first ones to go into the shitstorm when the shitstorm starts. I went through 2 deployments in Iraq. The second push of Fallujah, and then the hellstorm that followed of Ramadi. When I was ready to get out, November 9th, 2007, I was lucky enough to have a friend of the family that had just become the new superintendent of an ironworker company. Now, of all the trades and everything that are out there, ironworker is by far, again, the hardest. And again, not talking trash on anybody else's trade, but physically and mentally, ironworkers are the strongest. We're also the biggest assholes, which is the same can be said for the Marine Corps. That being said, you have to be physically fit enough to drag around, move around, and work with everything heavy. There's nothing light in our work. I could have showed up to work that day and turned around and ran. Instead, I fell in love with it because it was hard, because it gave me adrenaline, because it gave me purpose, and because I knew that not everybody was out here doing it. You had to be a special kind of crazy to be up there 300 feet up in the air as an iron worker. So again, chose the hard way, not the easy way. Could have been a laborer, could have pushed a broom, could have done the 100,000 different jobs that were out there. I chose the hard way. The hardest thing that I ever had to do up until this point was going through my divorce with my first wife. The hard part was I failed 3 times all at once. I failed my wife as a husband. I failed my 2 kids as a father. And I failed myself. And I went into a bit of a hole. And if it weren't for my soon-to-be future wife pulling me out of that hole on a random meeting on a random day, almost 10 years ago now. Over 10 years ago now, actually. I would have fallen into that hole hard. I ended up marrying that woman. And I knew that I would from almost within the first 30 seconds of meeting her. Our life wasn't easy. We had our ups and downs. But she showed me that I could be happy again. In my heart, in my mind, and in my eyes. When I say in my eyes, I mean the way that I perceive everything. To be grateful for what I have and not wanting what I don't. Next hard thing is November 3rd, 2020. I was headed off to work. I kissed my wife goodbye. Went to work for a 10-hour day in Sacramento. Tried to contact her throughout the day with no response. When I had left, she said she wasn't going to work. She wasn't feeling good. She was just going to get some sleep. Now, mind you, by this time, we'd already had COVID. I had had it twice. She had had it once. We're in the heart of the pandemic. So I just figured that she, turned her phone on mute and was doing exactly what she said. She was just going to get some rest. About halfway home, I started having a feeling. I put the pedal to the metal, hauled ass home to find her right where I left her. So now the hard thing was not only losing her, but for me, I felt that I failed her because she saved me, but I didn't save her. Next hard thing was trying to deal with all that. And instead of asking for help, I went and found the easy help. I found the thing that killed her, which is alcohol. And I buried myself in a bottle for a few months. Because of that decision, I lost the respect and the time that was so precious to me from my own children. And almost as important as that, for myself. (2022) December 7th, I was a passenger in the vehicle in a terrible accident where I broke 7 ribs that, as I call it, looked like a hillbilly smile trying to eat my internal organs. They were cracked in, and every breath I took was sending them closer and closer. Shoulder bone was broke, collarbone was broke, hip was broke, back was whatever the issues that I had there. Most of it was neurology. I don't even know how to say it. Basically, my legs felt like they were on fire. Over the next year, actually go back to that day, the paramedic said I died twice on the side of the road that day. The nurses and doctors said I died once in the hospital. And then I woke up. Then over the next year of excruciating pain and rehab, I was able to be up and moving somewhat, be back in the fight. That's choosing the hard way too, because I could have just chose to find a way out. Hell, they were giving me enough pills. But that wasn't an option. It was the hard way. It was the painful way. Putting in the work hurts. Hurts your muscles, hurts your bones, hurts your joints. But quitting and failing without getting back up, which is what failing is, that hurts your mind, that hurts your soul, that hurts everything in you. Falling is not failing. Failing is not getting back up. But you got to understand too, just like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get hit. I had many plans. Some of them came true. I like to believe that the ones that weren't meant to didn't. My wife had a tattoo on her ribs that said everything happens for a reason. The longer I'm alive, the more I believe that. So December 7th, 2023, I decided I was going to run 1 mile for every month that I'd been alive since I died 3 times that night. Surprisingly enough, after not being able to hardly walk and move, I was able to run those miles. And it hurt like hell. But I've run them every single day to this day. A couple months ago, an old friend, someone that I could actually be honest with, truthful with, vulnerable with, she randomly came back into my life. She lives in Texas and I'm in California. The last time I seen her, I was dealing with the sickness and everything with my wife. And the last time she seen me, she was heading off on her own journey that ended up a rough road. About a month and a half ago, she introduced me to 75 Hard. So now we're back to that. I was a little skeptical when it started. Thought it was just another, goofy workout routine, whatever. This is not a goofy workout routine. This is a mind, body, and soul routine. This is not even a routine, it's a lifestyle. It makes you hold yourself accountable. The way it does that is it gives you your list for the day that you got to do every day for 75 days straight. If you fail, if you falter, if you forget to do one of these things, you can be on day 74. And if you're honest with yourself, if you have integrity, if you hold yourself a little higher than you did before, that you all can do now, that you all could have done before, you'll go back to day one. I think I'm on my fourth time going through. I've had 4 day ones. And today I'm working on my 7th day of my 4th time going through. Today is my first 7th day. But it has become an addiction, a driving motivator. Not only to make myself better, but to help maybe make somebody else better. And if I've reached out to you and pushed this to you, if only one other person picks up this book, which I haven't even read yet. My friend Marcella from Texas just recently sent it to me because they were sold out on the website. That's how fast they go. If just one person picks up this program, which is 100% free, minus the $5 or $6 app, which you don't need, but does definitely help keep you honest with yourself. The book, if you want it, or you can go back to, I think it's podcast 201, I believe, and they describe everything. If just one of you gets up, gets moving, and makes your life better, then it's worth it to me. So that being said, at this point, I believe I've got 11 new people not only introduced to, but have started this program, started this lifestyle. Of those that I've contacted and talked to, and even on the comment sections of Andy's YouTube pages and Instagram and all that, one of the biggest complaints is, one of the biggest excuses, is that they don't have a way to work out. It's just an excuse. Push-ups, sit-ups. So let me break that down. For the workout side of it, it's 2 45-minute workouts per day. But one of them is mandatory to be outside. I'm lucky enough that during the pandemic, I bought my own workout equipment for my inside. My outside up until today has been to go run. But I've been doing that for a different reason. And I've been doing that for much longer than I started this. So I'm deleting that from my program. That doesn't mean anybody else has to. I'm just doing it for myself. And I'm adding an additional 45 outside. But how do you work out outside? Outside of push-ups and sit-ups and jumping jacks and this and that and the other. So I'm going to start putting a program together live, in action. I'm going to do hopefully a couple of these a week to where I could show you and anybody that wants to hear it and learn from it and use it, how to use what you have around you to work out. How to be resourceful. How to think outside of the box. Which means you don't have to have the hundreds and hundreds of dollars to go out and get all this gym equipment. You don't have to go and get a gym membership. And when it comes to the pandemic thing, if the government ever tries to shut you down again, they can't shut you down again. They can't shut down your gym because your gym is right here. It's going to be everything from paint cans to buckets, heavy ropes, pieces of fence. But I'm also going to ask at the end of every one of these that I do, if you have any ideas, if you have anything that you've used, if you have anything that has worked for you, any creative workout plans and ideas to use common things around the house, around the yard, around your neighborhood, I'm going to ask for your suggestions, and then I'm going to implement those suggestions. And once we get enough of this together, then we're going to do an hour a day workout plan or a 45-minute a day workout plan that might go to an hour. Now, I want to be very clear on this. I am in no way, shape, or form employed by Andy Frisella. He's the one that created the 75 Hard program. By the way, there is a 75 Life that comes after that, and it continues your progress and your challenges and everything else. But let's get through the 75 first, shall we? I'm in no way, shape, or form employed by him. I am in no way, shape, or form sponsored. Haven't had a conversation. The closest thing to that was me maybe putting a couple of comments on his videos, which he has on YouTube, which is the AF Podcast. Or if you just look under Andy Frisella, you can find him on YouTube, but he's also on Instagram and Facebook. I'm also going to be starting an Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube page for this journey that I hope that many of you, or some of you, or even one of you follows. Because even if one of you follows, I'll keep going. So I want your opinions. I want your suggestions. I want to hear your stories. We can even set up conversations on or off camera. I'm going to put a contact situation set up so that if you're having a hard time, you're having a hard day, you just don't know how to get through the day, you have somebody you can talk to. The reason why I told you my initial story is this, and I'm going to put a little bit into what I've learned from others. The woman that introduced me to this is an extremely hardworking single mom that has been put through the ringer. She may or may not have put herself through the ringer too, as we all have. But she's never once given up, and she's never once chose the easy way. So if your excuse is, well, I'm a single mom, I don't have time. Bullshit, you got time. If your excuse is, well, I work all fucking day and I barely have the energy. Bullshit. Find the energy. If it's that I'm too overweight, I'm not athletic, I'm injured. Bullshit. You got to take that first step, or you'll never start moving. When somebody says workout, it doesn't mean that you have to be able to be as strong as all those guys in the gym screaming and yelling and slamming weights. It just means that you have to put out an effort. Doesn't mean that you have to be accountable or comparable to anybody else around you in the program, in your community, in your family, in your head. You just have to put in the work, the effort. You got to try. You got to take that first step. And if you take that first step, I promise you, it'll be worth it. Now, I can't promise you it's going to be easy. In fact, I wouldn't promise you that. Because anything that's easy ain't worth having. It ain't worth doing. It's going to be hard. But it will be worth it. And if you start getting to the point in your path through this whole journey, it starts getting easy, that means that you need to up your workout just a little bit. That means if you can only do 10 push-ups now, 5 push-ups now, whatever it is, and you start being able to do it like it's nothing, that means jump it to 12. You ain't got to jump it all the way to 20. Jump to 12. See if you can do that. Jump to 15 then. Then move it up 1 at a time, 2 at a time, here and there, but keep pushing. Keep driving. The point of this video is to try to bring back a sense of pride in who you are. And who you are is an American man or woman. That should be enough pride for yourself to get up and keep moving every day. But if it's not, we'll help you get there. But until you conquer this, you'll never conquer anything. Nobody else can make you happy except you. Nobody else can make you healthy except you. There's not a magic pill, even though they got this one that they have been using for years for diabetes. I'm not going to say the name. Just know that way is very dangerous. The side effects are pretty nasty if you happen to be the one that gets them. If you've gotten to this point, I would say that means that you actually give a damn about yourself and you're interested in how to do it. So here's the first step. Chin up, eyes front, chest forward, and start moving. Every day. Every day you want to be better than yesterday, and tomorrow you want to be better than today. But you can't focus on the past and you can't focus on the future because all we have is today. Yesterday you can learn from. The path, it's the road, it's the gym that made you who you are today. Or it's the refrigerator that made you who you are today. Tomorrow is not granted. Tomorrow can be taken away like that. As I've explained to you with the situation with my wife. Within a matter of seconds, tomorrow can be taken from you. But today, you have today. What you do today is going to prepare you for the day that you hopefully get when tomorrow arrives. But when tomorrow arrives, it stops being tomorrow. So tomorrow never comes. Again, all you ever have is today. Yesterday's been long gone and tomorrow never comes. So get up, get moving, get motivated. This program is something you can do alone. You can do with the community. You can do with your husband or wife. You can even do it with your children because it has no requirements on the weight that you work. It has no requirements on the miles that you run. It has a requirement of you putting in the effort. 45 minutes, twice a day. Drink a gallon of water. Here comes the mental part. You got to read 10 pages of nonfiction per day. You start with this book if you want to. There's others that I've actually just finished. This is Jocko Willink. Discipline equals freedom. See, if you don't have discipline, and you don't have your health, and you don't have control over what you do, you're a prisoner in your own head. So then we get to diet. Diet is not a specific diet. It's a diet that you put together, whether it's with a doctor, a friend, suggestions, whatever works for you, with no cheating, no sweets, no alcohol, no drugs, nothing that's going to weigh you down. Only thing that's going to build you up. So again, I'm going to say this. I'm not going to tell you it's going to be easy, because it's not. That's why it's called 75 hard. 75 hard days. It's going to be hard, but it will be worth it. That I can tell you. That I can promise you. That I can guarantee you. If you hold true to yourself, you keep your integrity to yourself, you stick to the plan, you're going to get mentally and physically prepared to be the best you could possibly be for the rest of your life. Don't try to say, well, I'll start it next week. Bullshit. Well, I'll start it tomorrow. Bullshit. I'll start it next year. I'll start it when New Year's comes around again. Because you never will. Start it today. Simply by watching the podcast. By ordering the book. By buying the app. Make a commitment to yourself. Then make a plan. Then execute the plan. And then enjoy the benefits of it. But don't just keep that to yourself. Share it with others. Share this video with others. Once I get a YouTube set up and everything else, like, comment, subscribe, please share. Please go watch Andy's videos, AF podcast. Be true to yourself. Be honest with yourself. And don't let yourself down. Y'all have a good night.